A warm welcome, dear sisters and brothers, to another episode of Call to Serve. This is a program that looks at the life of a priest, a person's life which is turned for the glory of God by his touch, by his involvement. And today we have with us Father Charles Hevawasam, who is the Vicar General of the Diocese of Galle from Sri Lanka. And we are so happy to have you with us, Father.
Thank you very much.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you.
This is a program that where we look at the progress, we look at the journey of a priest from the starting and towards his, his mission and all of that.
Yeah.
And the first question we always have is how it all began. Where did it start in your life, Father?
I was born a Buddhist.
Okay.
My father a Buddhist and my mother a very strong Catholic. I was baptized when I was about 10 years, I think. Then my mother's great faith and what I saw in her as a child, because she was completely, after her marriage, she had to live with a very strong Buddhist area, but yet she kept for her faith. And then I was an altar server. I was serving Mass, and I used to go for daily Mass, 5:30 in the morning. And then the Vicar General of that diocese, elderly priest, and I saw and experienced a lot of his faith and his holiness, like his life and his commitment as a priest. Then also as a youngster, I was a legionary, and then also I was involving in a lot of church activities as a youth and altar server. And in that I had the opportunity of getting involved in the work and associating the priests and nuns, and I saw their committed life and the service. And I can remember one day I went for Mass in the morning, and it was a rainy day, and only that Monsignor Alice and myself was there. And after Mass he called me to the sacristy and he gave a blessing, and he said, "It's a special blessing for you today." So I still feel that may have been the seed of my vocation. So that is how I began my journey. Then I joined the seminary, minor seminary in Galle, and I was ordained in 1988 as a priest.
Okay.
Yes.
Father, you just mentioned about the two different varying backgrounds.
Yes.
You had the Buddhist and the Christian
Yes.
setup. So were there questions in your mind, Father?
Not really, but now as a priest, I thank God in a way, bringing up of a family of that nature,
Yes.
because the Diocese of Galle, the majority is the Buddhist.
Okay.
And we are the minority of the minorities.
Okay.
So whereas I had to work in a Buddhist area.
Okay.
So my background, which comes from my family,
Okay.
really helps my mission.
Yes.
And that helped me to have that balanced relationship with the Buddhists and also the Catholics and the Christians.
Especially because of the discipline that you have received from your mother, perhaps. Was that the strong point for you, Father, as to be in the Catholic faith and for you to go ahead, or was there an encounter? Was there an experience with Christ that kept you on?
I think my mother's, more than the influence of her, the life she lives and her faith and her coming to a Buddhist area, but yet even as children we can, because her devotion, even the daily rosary, and her private prayers, because it was a Buddhist atmosphere even at the home also, but yet she kept for her faith. So we as children, especially my elder sister and myself, experienced that the faith in her and her prayer life, and those really, but she never asked and she never forced us or said anything. But yet we could see the example of my mother, and also her life as a dedicated mother and a wife. And we had a very strict formation, like as a mother, still we thank her for that experience we got from her.
So when you put this across to your father, saying that you want to be a priest, I mean, that is a very strong decision. How did he react, Father?
My father was a very nice gentleman, and we have never seen my mother and father even arguing as wife and husband. And when I said that, because after my ordinary level exam only I had to expose this to the family. But my father said that you are young enough to make for yourself a decision. And also he has studied under Jesuits in a college, and he had some background of a Catholic priest and church. But it was my mother, she didn't like at the beginning, because she was very fond of me.
Ah, okay.
Yes. But yet it was just her feeling, a motherly feeling,
Yes.
son leaving the family
Yes.
and going. But mother and father didn't have such a big
Okay.
thing about it.
They were
Yes.
one together and they were
Yeah.
very happy and
Yes.
they received this
Yes.
very well.
Yes. At the end, my father also became a Catholic even after my ordination later. Yeah.
And how was the ordination, Father?
It was a wonderful experience, and even to see my father's side all Buddhists
Yes.
and my mother's side all Catholics coming together, and it was a wonderful experience.
It was coming together of two families
Two
and
families,
two different
yes.
faiths, but it was very beautiful, I'm sure,
Yes,
that
yes,
situation.
yes. And what's a great experience for my father's side of the people, my other relations.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
For them to see something through you,
Yes,
isn't it, Father?
yeah.
And even in your journey as a priest from there on, you've finished for 28 years as a
Yes.
priest, Father.
Yeah.
What were those very difficult, challenging moments?
Most challenging moment was my tsunami experience.
Okay.
At that time I was in a shrine just close to the sea. And it happened during the Holy Mass at the time of Holy Communion. And even 18 members of the congregation died, and there was another sister, Reverend Nun, who was assisting me giving communion. And that was very painful, and also...
As you were celebrating Mass, tsunami struck.
Yes.
That must have been quite shattering, isn't it, Father?
Yes. It was the day of the Feast of the Holy Family, and just after Christmas, because it was on the 24th and this is on the 26th. And we just began the Mass, and at the time of the Holy Communion only, we experienced the water coming into the church. And the congregation was about 100, because luckily it was during the school holidays. And I just started giving communion in the main aisle, and there was a sister assisting me with Holy Communion.
Yeah.
So she was giving communion in the side aisle, and suddenly the water came into the church, and we all were covered with water. And 18 members who were at the Mass, they all died. They were affected by tsunami. Even the sister, Reverend Sister, was giving communion. And luckily we had a building just back of the church, in the sacristy, which was under construction at that time, 2-story building.
Okay.
Because of it, we could all get into that building, and most of the lives were saved. And with that and the involvement with the tsunami work and everything was a big challenge. And,
Yes, very much.
Yes, it was.
And what were the faith questions at that time, Father? Must have been the most difficult, isn't it? For yourself personally as well?
In a way,
were there questions?
there were. Even later, most of the foreign people who came to our help, and most of them, especially the youngsters, the question was why it happened, and what do you think about it?
Most people ask the same question.
Yes.
Why?
But in a way, for me, later when I reflect on it, and when I was thinking about it, I experienced that it was during the time of Christmas, actually, the season. And the people, for me, those who died like martyrs, because they gave a great example and a message to all of us. Later we saw how the whole world came together, because now I was a victim of it, but the other people they may have seen it in the media, and how they felt and how they were sharing whatever they had.
Yes.
And for me, I thought that was the best Christmas life after the first Christmas, because it was the whole world coming together, sharing whatever the might they had. And even those people who came, who speak in different languages like German, France, and all those who came to our help, even the language, by just looking at the victims, the affected people, looking into their eyes and the feelings, they could read one another.
It was more a different communication of love.
Communication of love. So that is God sharing His Son, and we were sharing. So that way, even I have seen now, after that, the faith of the people have become much stronger, and even the conversions, and also the Buddhist people, they experience after that with our activities and involvements in the society with the other affected people. They really experience the love and mercy of God through the people, the
outreach mission that happened at that time.
So
so this challenge really helped you to understand a different, it was a different phase, a different kind of understanding.
True, yes.
What about those times when you felt really delighted, those times that you felt so cherished about the mission that was given to you, that has been given to you, Father?
Because now, this where I was working at that time was a shrine dedicated to Our Lady of Matara. It's a miraculous statue of Our Lady, and actually it has a history about 500 years. The statue was found in the sea by fishermen and later on given to the church. And about 100 years ago, it was sent back to Belgium, because we had the Belgian missionaries working in the diocese at that time, even the Belgian bishop. And then on its way back, there was a shipwreck, and then it was lost and found again. And the tsunami was another time that miraculously she went to the sea, and after 3 days we found it. And when I just came down from the building I was, and my first concern was the Blessed Sacrament, but there was no way. Then when I reached to the statue where it was, and it was not there, and then later I found that it has gone to the sea. And then we have been praying, and I have been praying, because the church was there because of her, to save Our Lady of Matara in the church, the shrine, national shrine. And third day when it was brought to me by a Buddhist, that he found it, and that was the most delighted time in my life.
And the way the Lord has worked again through a person of another faith, and bringing something so precious back to the church.
And it was intact, and it was a wonderful experience.
Praise the Lord. So this journey that has begun, some 28 years ago, has really made you fruitful more as an evangelist, as a person who's reaching out to people who've suffered deeply, and you've been able to touch many lives, Father. Can you share with us a little bit more about your mission?
Yes, because the tsunami experience, and then my question in my personal prayer and reflection was that why I was saved. Because the very day in the evening, I was in the cemetery where all the bodies were brought in, and almost more than 300-400 bodies were buried. And I was there, the Muslims and the Buddhists, and all were brought, and all were just buried in one mass grave. And then always I asked the question, the Lord must have had a purpose of saving my life, because I was just there at the altar. And now, even then after that, I had to get involved in many activities of helping people, and then we had a lot of charitable organizations which came, and medical help and educational help and visiting people, and that was also a big challenge for me to bring back the life of these people
Yeah.
into normalcy.
So
that
rebuild
was
is not easy.
easy, yes.
Yeah.
And so that I could reach, and still I continue the good work which we have started, and actually to bring all the ethnic groups together and different faiths together, and to build up that harmony and love and concern for one another. So that was there, and that was a very wonderful experience, and still that relationship we build up now after about 14 years after this incident, but yet that the relationship and the harmony and the love and care for one another still becoming strong and strong, and it is building actually.
Do you see that as the vision for the church?
Because whatever the activities we had, we could brought Christ to these people, the love and mercy of God. And even most of the countries which came to help our Christian Catholic countries. And I think the church did its best, and it was the mission and the will of the Lord. So therefore I think it is, I believe, we were sharing the love and mercy of Christ. So that is love.
Yeah. That is wonderful, Father.
Yes.
There are many young people watching the program, and for them, there are questions about priesthood. They wonder what the life of a priest is, and of course your life is going to give them inspiration today. What is your message for those people, Father, for the young people?
Yes, because in today's society, when we look back about 20 odd years in our time and now, the youngsters in the society are challenged by the developments of the technology and media and all kind of things. And it's a big challenge. I don't know how many of them are thinking about the priestly life and the religious life. But yet, God has been so nice.
Absolutely.
And the church is blessed with many committed vocations. So priesthood is, and the religious life, I see something wonderful, and it is mysterious. No one can. Although at the beginning you asked about my journey, but I don't think that anyone can say, this is the reason I became a priest or a religious, because it's a mystery.
It's a calling.
And it's a calling from God, and you never know. And because when we look at the world and when we see our unworthiness, and still when we get and filled with the Holy Spirit and the Spirit of God, and we feel the unworthiness, and yet He has called us. So therefore, although in all these challenges, I think the young people, especially the families, must give back to their faithfulness to their vocations as parents, and also the prayer life and their commitment, and the youngsters to see that and to experience the wonders and the beautiful life of the priesthood and religious life, and if they can commit themselves to the service of the Lord as priest and religious, I think God will always help the church, and because it is His church and the Spirit is guiding the church.
It was also your mother's life, and as you already explained, the way so many others have played a part in your decision and your calling. Do you think it is very important that the parents and their spiritual nourishment that they can offer for the children will really help them, because that played an important part in your life?
I think definitely, because it is the example of the marriage life of your parents, mother and father, because that is like the first school for a child. Where they experience and where they see the love of one another, of the mother and father, and that family prayer life, and their faith, and bringing up the children that always obedience, love and care for one another, and also trust and faith in the Lord. That Lord provides, and every vocation is that the God-given vocation, even the children from their small age. But that religious atmosphere and that building the faith in the family is the foundation of any person, I think. And also we as priests, we have our role, that to be an example. And youngsters should and must see in us that commitment and the faith and the spirit in us, whereas that radiate in their life and a response to that.
What are those 2 or 3 instruments? For some it is the rosary, for some others it is the Holy Eucharist. In your case, in your life, what is it that really helps you forward?
It is my prayer life and my daily rosary. Even in tsunami, I lost everything. Only my trouser and the banyan and rosary in my pocket.
Praise the Lord.
That was the only thing. We lost everything. My prayer life and my daily rosary and my devotion to our Heavenly Mother. Because she, I think, most of the time, she has been coming to my aid and helped me. So, prayer life and the rosary, I have never missed my rosary, daily rosary, at least 5 decades per day, and my devotion to our Heavenly Mother.
Yes.
I think
Her
that helps
intercession
me.
is so important for every step of the way. I mean, she is the person who is there to help us guide us. It was really wonderful knowing your testimony, Father. It was really wonderful to know how through the tsunamis of life you have actually stood strong, and the Lord has kept you, as you said, strong and wonderful as a worker in His vineyard. We thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And for sharing
Thank
your
you,
life.
and praise the Lord. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Dear people, as you've just heard, Father Charles has lived a life that is so challenging in its own way. A very quiet and strong tsunami that just came in from out of nowhere, that destroyed so many people's lives and that actually cropped up many questions. But yet, the faith of a priest is a seed that was sown many years ago. And as we have seen in Father Charles' life, his mother has played such an important role. His life, we hope, has touched you. And we hope it inspires you, and especially the young people watching, to really look up to the life of a priest with reverence and with a lot of prayers for them. We thank you for being with us. We hope to see you again in our next episode. God bless you.